Tactical wrestling. Just got out of practice, and we shared some good advice with one of our kids. He's wrestling someone he hasn't beaten before, and the score is kind of high. And, the guy's probably out of his league a little bit, but with, state tournament right around the corner here in a couple weeks, we're trying to get a game plan on how to beat this kid. And sometimes you do need to change the way you wrestle and make these adjustments. I remember a kid, he was, not a kid, a man, he was the NCAA champion. And he lost in the Big 12 finals 10-2. So I don't know, 10 days later or whatever it was, they wrestled in the NCAA, no, it was 12-2. They wrestled in the NCAA finals, and he went 0-0 first period, and now he cut the 3-period match down into 2 periods, which is a lot of mat wrestling. And he ended up winning the national title, and it was pretty close. I think it was 5-2. So what happens is you go 0-0. This guy pounded you 12-2 last time. Now we're in the national finals, and you go 0-0. You pick down and get away, and this guy looks at the clock, and maybe some panic starts to set in. Maybe you start to think, opportunity slipping here. I do think that helps you win the psychological game. I know me as the underdog, when I look at the score and I'm winning by 1 point with a minute left in the second period in the NCAA finals, I'm feeling good about it. So it does take a psychological toll, but a good tactic from a tactical standpoint is going 0-0 first period, and that goes against conviction, common wisdom, which people say always try to dominate, always try to score. And I'm not opposed to that, but at some point in time, sometimes we do have to beat someone we've never beaten before. And that's what's cool about wrestling. If I need to bench press 200 pounds today to win the title at the weightlifting competition, but the most I've ever lifted was 175, it's probably not going to happen. Well, in wrestling, I can manipulate a little bit, and I can beat people I've never beaten before. That's what's cool about wrestling. People say control the controllables, and that's true. But sometimes there's more that you can control in a match. You do have a lot more control over winning and losing in the sport of wrestling just by using techniques and tactics and staying in positions, avoiding these positions, looking at the history of the past few matches and saying, these are the changes I have to make. I know years ago I wrestled a guy, and before I went on the mat and he was ranked #1 in the nation, my buddy Alan Freed grabbed me by the arm and said, "Hey Nick, you need to stay in tight on this guy or you're not going to win." And I was like, okay. And I'm warming up, and he grabbed me by the arm and said, "Dude," he looked me in the eyes with those beady eyes and goes, "Hey," he goes, "you will not beat this kid if you don't tie him up." Because I wrestled him this summer. He's a freak athlete. You need to tie him up. And I did, and I won. And if he didn't grab me that second time, I probably would have paid attention. I mean, he didn't scare me. He just kind of shocked me, and I was like, okay, this kid really, and he did hit me with a hard outside double and scrambled out of bounds. But, and I changed the way I wrestled, and you do that sometimes. It's called making adjustments, wrestling tactical. And sometimes it comes down to going 0-0 first period. And that's always something that's good to keep in mind. So keep that in mind if you're wrestling someone you haven't beaten before, because you can beat those guys if you make some of these adjustments sometimes.